The man who headed the government's review of the tax system has conceded his committee misread the tea leaves over the ill-fated resources super profits tax. Dr Ken Henry has told the Tax Forum in Canberra that big changes in tax need to be well canvassed before any attempt to implement them. Andrew Robertson reports.
The Henry review into the tax system was unveiled with great fanfare in May last year. The centrepiece was the resources super profits tax, which took the mining industry by surprise, prompting an aggressive response which eventually saw the tax scrapped. 17 months on, Dr Ken Henry reflected on what went wrong and the lessons learned.
Good policy outcomes are more likely where there has been high-quality debate. Good policy outcomes are much more difficult to secure where visionary ideas, big challenges and creative approaches are floated for the first time in the announcement of a policy decision.
However, Dr Henry maintains the resources super profits tax was a good idea.
Or consider the difference between so-called normal profit and supernormal profit. A tax on the former should be expected to affect the pattern of real economic activity, while a tax on the latter, that is on supernormal profit, should not. Our review took for granted that this point was well understood.
A point fellow tax review panel member Heather Ridout agrees with.
Maybe a longer and better consultation process might have improved the tax itself and its acceptance by the community.
Back inside the Tax Forum, Dr Henry was not holding back and took a swipe at people calling for unrealistic business tax outcomes.
I heard a number of times yesterday that all taxes, every tax, should be fair, that it should be equitable. Well, that proposition really makes no sense.
With debate today centring around personal taxes, Dr Henry said they should be fair. Business lobby groups that yesterday called for a cut in corporate tax rates today argued for a cut to personal income tax rates too.
While ACCI welcomes the proposed reduction in the company tax rate, it is a significant area of unfinished business that we need to more closely align the top marginal rate with the company tax rate.
Unlike the company tax discussion, though, debate about personal tax wasn't completely along ideological lines. Investment banker Mark Carnegie argued strongly that the top 15% of earners should pay 15% more tax.
The number of individual winners in Australia is shrinking all the time. The economic rents of capitalism are shrinking to a smaller and smaller group of people. And unless those people are willing to stand up and say, we will shoulder some of the societal responsibility, we will be facing the sort of nightmare that Europe and the US has at the moment.
The forum ended with the Treasurer announcing a working party to investigate reform of business taxes.
The purpose of that business tax reform working group is to bring together business leaders, tax experts, unions. It will be supported by the Treasury.
The Treasury will also collaborate with the Tax Office on reducing complexity for small business. They were moves that were well received.
The ideas that the Treasurer has come up with at the end of it all made for a very worthwhile 2 days. We'll wait and see where that goes to now.
You can see that the government's starting to understand that we're people and they've got to treat us like people, and when they do that, they'll get it right.
The Treasurer today has delivered on some of the things that we think need to be done if we're going to simplify our tax system.
The Working Party on Business Tax Reform will report its findings sometime next year.